What is happening, everybody? I'm Sebastian Rusk with Social Buzz TV. Wow, we haven't done any online things in quite some time. This brings me back to the early days of doing webinars. So webinars are great because it allows us to not have to leave our office or our desk or our house and still get an idea. The reason I wanted to put this webinar together is because I've been constantly getting feedback and questions from people asking me, number one, where do you get the guts to get on stage and speak publicly? Oops. Rule number one when doing a Google Plus Hangout, make sure you don't have your YouTube channel opened. Otherwise, you're going to hear yourself say the same thing you just got done saying. So the reason I did this was because I had so many people ask me, whether it's friends, whether it's acquaintances, whether it's people within business. Number one, where do you get the guts to get up on stage and talk and not be scared about it? And number two, how do you get over the fear? And I really don't think I've ever had a fear of public speaking. I love an audience, but that's not everyone's story. That's not everyone's situation. So I wanted to at least get a pulse on how much of a need is out there, because I've been asked so many times, hey, maybe you can help me break out of my comfort zone and step over that bridge of fear of speaking publicly. So I put together a small presentation that really breaks down 7 reasons on why people are absolutely petrified of public speaking. This is just an overview. This is just my 2 cents on the presentation, and then we're going to see where it goes from there. If there's a need to be able to do this, I'd like to do a physical workshop and get people in and work with them for a few hours and really better understand exactly where the fear stems from, what they're really scared of, and get you over that. Because I have successfully been able to, I don't want to say convince people, but I've been able to talk them through the process and help them better understand that there's really nothing to be scared about. It's essentially a story that you may be telling yourself on why or why not you can't successfully be a public speaker. But that's all nonsense. Everything you want in this world, including a public speaking business, is right outside your comfort zone. So if you're watching this from the Google Plus page, awesome. That means that there should be a Q&A box on that page that you're able to join in on. And any feedback, you can just tweet me. I may not be able to get back to you right away as far as during the presentation. But if you want to send me a tweet at Seb Rusk, I'll answer them in the last couple of minutes of the webinar. I want to answer some questions, and we'll be doing that via Twitter. So just send me a tweet. Use the hashtag P as in Paul, S as in Sam, Buzz as in public speaking buzz, PS Buzz, and tweet me at Seb Rusk, and I will answer as many questions as I can for the last few minutes. So we are going to get right down to this. I'm going to start the screen share option real quick here and make sure that we are in fact operational. Is that a word? We are in fact operating correctly. Okay, screen share. I think this is it. And then we're going to move over to the deck. And if for some reason you can't see this, send me a tweet. I do have my phone right here, so I'm able to see some tweets that are coming through. And as questions pop up, that's the cool part about technology. Is I'm going to run through this slide deck. I'm going to give you my 2 cents on each slide and help you better understand. Hopefully we can work through a few things. But at the same time, as I'm talking about the slides, you can be sending me a tweet, having a little conversation with me, et cetera, et cetera. All right, let's get right down to it. I am going to grab a quick drink of water, and we are off to the races. So I titled this, Help! I'm Petrified of Public Speaking. I met almost a complete stranger a couple of months ago. It had nothing to do with business. It was just a new acquaintance that I had met, and she had a corporate job in which she worked, and her boss had let her know that she was up for a promotion, but that promotion involved training, which is obviously public speaking, several times a week in front of a group of people. She was tapped out to be able to do this because she's so good at it internally and covering it for the internal classes and training, the ongoing training that they do for the company. But she said, I don't know how quick this promotion is going to happen because I am absolutely petrified of public speaking. So my very first question to every single person once they tell me I'm petrified of public speaking is, what exactly are you scared of? Is it they'll laugh at me? They have no interest in what I'm talking about. They don't want to hear what I have to say. Because if that's the case, you don't have the answer to those questions. Essentially, it's a story that's being created, but you're the only character that has heard the story or maybe playing a part in the story. And I do emphasize the word character strongly because of the fact that it's ridiculous that you would be fearful about communicating a message about something you feel very important about or feel very excited about or very passionate about, i.e. your brand, your product, your service, your job, church, organization, your kids, your family, whatever it may be. You're obviously passionate about it because you've conceptualized the idea of wanting to be able to talk about this publicly. However, getting up and actually talking in front of people, well, that seems like crazy talk. So there is a story there. And when I say there is a story there is a story there that you are creating that says, I am petrified of public speaking. We're going to run through 7 reasons why people are absolutely petrified of public speaking. But over the past experiences I've had, I had another situation where someone reached out to me and said, hey, this whole public speaking thing, I'm petrified about it. I said, well, what are you petrified about? Well, I used to do a lot of performing when I was younger. And one time I came out and I forgot all my lines and the whole audience started laughing at me. I said, that's where the story began then. Every single time I go out on stage, I'm going to screw up and people are going to laugh at me. That's not the case at all. I was able to help this individual by telling them one specific thing. And that was, every single person that is in this room tonight is here to listen to exactly what you have to say. What you have to say is important. It's impactful. It's a story. It will make an emotional connection, and it will help people better understand what they don't know that they don't know. Instantly, this individual went in, completely knocked their talk out of the park, came back ecstatic, and this was just a casual conversation. This wasn't a, let me coach you and walk you through the park and try to get you over to this. This was just a casual conversation of me saying, hey, what are you scared of? So when did you first find proof that you're not able to speak publicly? Write that down. Ask yourself that question. Where was the first time that you found proof that it wasn't actually true, but we find our own proof sometime, or at least it appears that that's what we found? Study shows 74% of Americans have a fear of public speaking. The good news is you're not alone. But why? Why are people petrified? Why are 74%? That leaves 26% of people that are like me who absolutely love an audience, a crowd. The bigger, the better, the lights, the camera, let's go. I'm a rare breed. But there's only 26% of us out there that embrace that whole thing. And to be honest, I get on stage, my knees knock, my palms get sweaty. But I had my good friend Donna St. Louis, incredible public speaker, tell me a few years ago, Sebastian, you bring it when you're on stage, but sometimes when you get nervous, you need to Brankst it. And I said, Brankst it? She said, that's a whole nother level of bringing it. That's cranking it up. I said, well, some people tell me I need to tone it down a little bit. She said, tell those people to shut up and get on with their day. You need to absolutely crank it up, because even if you're amped up and you're nervous, if you crank it into even higher gear, you push right through that nervousness into a state of confidence, and you're secure. And once you're secure and you're comfortable on stage, that all is transferred and communicated to the audience. They feel your energy and they sense exactly where you're at. So ask yourself, why? When did that story start? And why in the world is everyone scared? What are you scared of? Here's 7 reasons people are absolutely petrified of public speaking. Number 1, the fear of doubt. I'm going to get up there. I'm going to talk about what I have to say. I'm going to share my story. I'm going to share my ideas. I'm going to share my passion. And people are going to look at me like I got 10 heads and boogers and that I absolutely suck, and they're not going to believe anything I have to say. That, my friends, is a story that is not true. It's the furthest from the truth and completely inaccurate. Fear. Is it false evidence appearing real, or is it forget everything and run? It is entirely your decision on how you break that down. In my opinion, it's false evidence appearing real almost every single time. Things to consider if there's a fear of doubt. Maybe this is your reason. You're like, holy cow, there's 7 reasons. That's totally mine. I can't believe it's the first one. Any doubt you will have is going to come across in your speech. It will show. If you're up there and you're doubtful, if you're paranoid, if you're scared, it's all going to be conveyed. I saw a lady speak last year. She was shaking and talking fast and sweating. I thought all I want to do was give her a glass of water or maybe some vodka and maybe at the same time and just tell her to take a deep breath. Sometimes a deep breath and just catching yourself is the best solution for anything. If you doubt yourself, you can almost guarantee the audience is going to give you the same response. Guaranteed. You're doubtful, they're going to doubt you. Research your topic thoroughly. Make sure you know every single angle of what you're talking about. That is the best case scenario. Because even if you memorize something and you've got it down by memory, sometimes nerves kick in and we forget. But if you familiarized yourself enough and you've researched the topic that you're talking about enough, when you forget something, you'll be able to fill in the gaps because your game's on point because you know so much about it. So practice and research and memorization. We're going to get into that in a little bit too. But those are some great things to consider. Any doubt you'll have will show in your speech. If you doubt yourself, you can almost guarantee the same response from the audience. And you can research your topic thoroughly and almost assure that you'll know exactly what you're talking about. So if you do draw a blank, you can fill in the gaps because you still can remain relevant pertaining to what you're talking about. Work on building your self-confidence to remove any doubt. That is the most important part. Where do I do this, Sebastian? How about the mirror? We spend a ton of time in the mirror already. Why not gain some confidence, even though nobody's in the room? Gain some confidence by standing in front of the room and saying, you know what? I'm a good-looking, confident, knowledgeable, infiltrated with information and a message that the world needs to hear. And gosh darn it, I'm going to share it. And nobody's going to get in my way. That's the type of confidence you've got to build. That's self-confidence. That comes from within. That's no attaboys. That's no great job. That's no pat on the backs. All of that stuff comes after you've actually delivered on here. It starts with having confidence in yourself, knowing that you're going to remove any doubt because you've got this. That's the first thing that I do before I take the stage. Anthony Robbins, of course, you know, has been for 30 years been rocking stages and transforming people's lives and helping them with specific phobias and things just like this. But every time he gets on stage, you know, he has this talk, and I don't have it verbatim right here in front of me, but it pertains to something that was like, I command my subconscious mind to exert everything I have in my being to impact the people that I'm talking to change their lives, to make a positive impact, a lasting impact. I do something comparable to psych myself into the mood right before I take the stage. I got my headphones on. I'm all amped. You got to get yourself in the zone, but that's all. Those are all things that contribute to building your self-confidence. Number 2 reason people are absolutely petrified of public speaking. Fear of being nervous. Holy cow, I'm going to be sweating. I'm going to be talking too quick. Holy cow, I'm nervous. Pacing on stage. Oh my gosh, where are my notes? Here we are. You got to let the nerves go. You got to get rid of the nerves. You've got to have a ritual before you take the stage. Maybe you go outside and you breathe. Maybe you listen to some classical music. Maybe you pray. Maybe you do some push-ups. Maybe you do some jumping jacks. You need to do something that's going to get your head into the game and get you focused on the matter at hand, which is speaking publicly and getting in front of the audience and helping them better understand exactly what it is that you're here to tell them. Now, that's not always the easiest thing to do. It is something that is actually acquired. You've got to be able to formulate what your game plan is going to be able to help people, to be convincing to people, to have your story really impact people and really make a difference. You've got to have a ritualistic thing. Every time I get there, right before I'm backstage, I'm here, I grab a bottle of water, I drink some chamomile tea, I do 5 push-ups, I say a prayer, I text my girlfriend, I text my wife, I talk to my kid. I don't have a girlfriend and a wife, but if I did, that'd be all kinds of wrong. Anyway, whatever your ritual is to be able to psych yourself into the game. That's building self-confidence. That's getting rid of the nerves, shaking the nerves. And if you get on stage and you're nervous, you know, an old trick is pretend everybody in the audience is naked. It's a little scary. The visual's a little difficult, but it makes you laugh and it kind of disarms you. Being prepared will automatically calm your nerves. Think about it. Let's go back to school. The days that you studied for a test, you studied all week long, you'd taken a quiz, you aced it, nailed it. All of these things that you did. in order to prepare for a test in school. And what happened? You walked into that class, you sharpened your number 2 pencil, and you were ready for that test. Boy, you got in there, and you even finished a couple minutes early because you knew every single thing inside and out. You were so confident when you got the test back. It was an A+ because you knew that you nailed it. What happened there? You were prepared. Your nerves were calm. Let's say you didn't study all week. Let's say you got a C on the quiz. Let's say you just kind of, half-hosed it. I don't know. Well, yeah, you're a little nervous. Nerves, not prepared, nerves. You see how preparedness and nerves go hand in hand? Unprepared, nervous. Prepared, no nerves. Or little nerves. Manageable nerves, if you will. Practice in front of friends. If they're real friends, they're going to tell you the truth. They're either going to tell you the truth or they're going to tell you what you want to hear. They can't do both. Ask them to tell you exactly the truth. What do they think? What needs to be improved on? Honest feedback. Rehearse your speech out loud as much as possible. Do it in front of a mirror. Do it in front of a bunch of teddy bears. If you're an adult and you have a bunch of teddy bears and you don't have children, I'm a little concerned, but most of you, you do have children. So line up the teddy bears and your kids and feed them some popcorn and practice your speech. Let them laugh at you. At least an audience is an audience. Something to allow you to get prepared, to calm your nerves, and to make sure that your game's on point. Oh, the fear of forgetting. What was I going to say? What the fear? Don't! I forgot what I was saying. And what I wanted to talk about was, oh, no, I can't seem to remember using words or filler words like sort of like and kind of like and well and as well and as if and it's kind of like. Those are all filler things that your audience can see and they can also hear and visualize, because this is clearly well, I well, or there's not part of your speech or your talk, and it obviously doesn't convey the message that you're talking about. So make sure you're very aware. I like to say aware is the word of the vocabulary and the words that are coming out of your mouth. Aware of what you're saying, very conscious and very present on what you're saying. You know how you can throw that filter on overdrive to make sure that you're act like you would be talking to, the president of the United States or the Pope or somebody, where you just wanted to make sure your conversation and your words were carefully articulated and conveyed. Keep that same thought process when you're on stage. What exactly are you saying? Don't get into that state where you get so caught up in nerves and everyone's there and the lights and stage and oh my gosh, that you're just talking gibberish and you get done talking. You don't even remember what you got done saying. It's like you ever days off in the car, you got 2 hands on the wheel, you're staring straight ahead and it doesn't matter because 5 minutes later, you're like, holy cow, was I just driving a car? It's crazy. So we want to stay present. You want to stay focused. You don't want to be very aware of the words that are coming out of your mouth. And that's going to help avoid forgetting. Ended up like Homer, don't, and ended up saying, what I wanted to talk about was, oh no, I can't remember. Because you talk about being nervous. Your nerves are going to be in overdrive and your confidence is going to be a shot as soon as you spit something out like this. So I don't know if you've got to remember this, screenshot this, write this down on your notes. This is an example of just a cluster that you can get yourself into on stage that can then shoot down your confidence and completely kill your whole talk, because you've gotten so far inside your own head, you're convinced your talk sucks, you suck, and nobody wants to hear what you have to say. So it's all a lie. It's all a story. Just be focused on what is coming out of your mouth. We've all been there. Try to memorize the outline, not every single word of the presentation. That's a little difficult. Try to memorize the outline of the presentation as much as possible to avoid forgetting anything. Plus, if you memorize it and you research what you're talking about, you've got enough information in your arsenal, even if it's not in your presentation, to be able to make sure that you are accurately conveying your message. Practice the flow of your speech. If there's 3 different segments and 3 different topics out of all of your slides, remember what those topics and segments are, how they lead into one another, and how you're able to wrap up your entire presentation and talk. The fear of technology. What if my PowerPoint slide doesn't fire? What if my video doesn't play? What about the audio part? What if I don't even have the plug to make sure my presentation can be plugged in? What if I have to do this presentation without a slide deck? Well, listen, first of all, keep calm and do not fear technology. Always have a backup plan. Always. My recommendation, you can print out your slides, have the hard copy, throw them in a folder, bring them with you. At least you got notes you can hold, have the person sit in the front row, go slide to slide, old school style, so you can at least read off what you're talking about. You may not be able to visualize something, which you want to be able to do with a slide deck because of technology issues. I've had almost every single time I almost don't do any talks anymore with slides because something always goes wrong. My deck's fine. My computer works fine. I get to the venue, I plug it in, and nothing works, and no one knows how to fix it. Again, doesn't always happen that way, but there's a good chance it's going to happen. So I've had to have someone hold my computer in the front row and just go from slide to slide, and I just look at my slide deck and I continue to talk. Again, I'm familiar enough with the material. I'm familiar enough with the information. I'm familiar enough with what I'm trying to convey that I'm able to pull it off without a slide deck. Obviously, you want both, but sometimes you don't get both. So always be prepared. Have a backup plan. Print out your presentation. Put your presentation on a flash drive. Make sure you've got, you can pick up something like Google Drive, because a lot of places have big screen TVs now. You can plug right into an HDMI. That's wireless. Sorry, it's not Google Drive. It is the thing that plugs into your TV that Google now has that allows you to watch. It is called, I'm going to tell you right now. Where's that? There's an app for that. It's called Chromecast. So you're able to plug it into your HDMI on your TV, set up Chromecast on your computer, and it automatically streams there. You can plug these things in. This avoids a wire. That, of course, an HDMI wire, most things plug into those these days, projectors, etc., or the old school auxiliary where the two screws and plug into a projector. Again, you want to make sure, I usually carry that, the old school plug with the two screws in it, an HDMI cable, and my Google Chromecast. And if that doesn't work, well, then to heck with everything. I'm just going to do the presentation without any slides, because what you find is you dilly-dally around trying to figure out technology, and you've eaten up a good 20 or 30 minutes of your talk. And most talks are only 30 or 40 minutes. If you've got an hour, then you've eaten up half your time. So make sure you're always prepared, always have a backup plan. Fear of a tough crowd. Now, this is tricky because when you're looking out into the crowd, if you're imagining everyone naked, that's a really scary thought, and the visual is a little crazy, little crazy town. But most of the time, it's pretty difficult to envision everyone naked forever in a day out there. But more important is that we start to create all these stories based on people's expression on their face. If everyone is not completely just overwhelmed with the content that's coming out of our mouths and completely engaged in our eyes and smiling and taking notes, and if anybody's even close to dozing off, or it looks like the crowd here, or they look like they're getting bored, or they're screwing around with their phone, or picking their nose, or bumping their neighbor, or whatever the case may be, that can really mess up our head, because we look and go, well, she didn't care. Look at that guy over there. He's falling asleep. Look at this guy on his phone. He could care less. Hold on a second. Well, look at that guy too. Holy God. Wait a second. The whole room doesn't give a rip about what I'm talking about. Lies. Again, it's story. We have a unique ability, which is a curse, I believe, of being able to create stories in our mind on the fly. If we were able to create ideas on the fly like that and execute them as quick as we come up with our BS stories that we execute in real time, which is this crowd completely doesn't give a rip about what we're talking about, we'd have a pretty good solid business. But the fear of a tough crowd. Now, you can't control how an audience responds to you. You can only control how you respond. Remember that you're in control. You're in control of your confidence. You're in control of the content happening. You're in control of how you recover from whatever it may be, a bad joke, forgetting something, a misspelling on a slide. I do that a lot too. People, people, as Zig Ziglar said, people find fault like there's an award for it. So get used to it. You're going to get feedback, because 9 times out of 10, the ones that come up to you with the most negative feedback are the ones that are the most jealous, because they don't have the audacity to stand up and actually do public speaking. Sometimes it is constructive criticism, but sometimes you're just, there's a lot of fault finders out there. So don't let those fault finders pee on your campfire or ruin your rain on your parade. Remember, you can't control how the audience responds. You can only control how you respond. Don't let one small mishap ruin the entire talk. Recover from it, move on, right back into the game. Easier said than done. No, it's not. You flub a word, you make a mistake, you move right on, you keep going. Number 6, we got 2 more left here. The fear of losing time. This should be at the forefront of your mind. It's a relevant fear, because you need to be cognizant of the amount of time that you've been allotted. Most talks some are 20 minutes, some are 30 minutes, some are 45 minutes, some are an hour. If you spend 15 minutes dilly-dallying around with technology, again, going back to making sure that your slides fire, the video fires, everything works and functional regarding AV, get to the venue early and test it out with the AV crew. If there's no AV crew there, if there's just somebody there to help out with the process, make friends with that person right away. Test the slides, test. Make sure everything's good. Make sure everything's fired, because you don't want to lose time because you're messing around with trying to make sure your slides are firing. Make sure you give yourself a time buffer to avoid running out of time. I've got 45 minutes to give this talk. I need to do a 10-minute Q&A. That leaves me 35 minutes to get this presentation done. I'll probably talk for 5 or 7 minutes to preface the entire talk, to help people better understand what this is going to be all about. So literally, I've got about 25 to 30 minutes total to get this presentation done, and it starts right now. So you want to make sure you've got the proper time buffer. Usually there's a timer. If you don't have a timer, sit in the front row with the timer on your smartphone and have the person hold it there. Find a timekeeper that's going to put a 10 up, to both hands up for 10 minutes left, for 5 minutes left. I just candidly ask people, how much time do I have left? All right, cool. 15 minutes. All right, great. Let's rock and roll. Because it respects people's time and makes people know that you are aware that their time is important and you've only got a allotted amount of time, and people get bored. We've only got a certain attention span, and it only lasts so long. When you're dilly-dallying around or waste people's time, they start yawning, passing out, picking their nose, checking their phone, bumping their neighbor, whatever the case may be. Make sure you give yourself a time buffer to avoid running out of time. Tips: if your talk is 60 minutes, leave 5 to 10 minutes at the end available for a Q&A. Break your presentation down by time chunks. See that? Look at that typo right there. Oops. Break your presentation down by, not my, time chunks. Know how much time you're going to spend on each slide and or topic being covered. Get familiar with what you're talking about. Fear of the unknown. Listen, walking out of your front door is the unknown. So again, forget everything and run. False evidence appearing real. The unknown. You don't know what's going to happen. I remember that one quote. Oh, but what if I fall? Oh dear, but what if you fly? How about that? So fear of the unknown. Replace fear of the unknown with curiosity. I like that quote. This is that unavoidable fear of being worried that something will go wrong with your presentation, and most times something will. So just be prepared for that. I'm not trying to be pessimistic, but sometimes things go wrong. If something can go wrong, it will, right? Maybe someone asks a question you can't answer. Just be honest if you don't know it. I don't have that answer, but I know somebody who does, and I'll get it answered for you. Great question. Thanks for chiming in. Move on to the next question. Make sure you have a plan of recovery for jokes that don't pan out and questions you don't have the answer to. If you're going to tell a joke while speaking publicly, you better make sure it's funny. How do you gauge that it's funny? You've told it before and people have laughed. Okay? Giving a speech, speaking publicly, giving a talk is not a test bed for new jokes. That's for small comedy clubs on open mic nights and friends and family and whatever the case is. And again, your friends and family that laugh at your jokes aren't the same as the people that you don't know that are there to hear you talk about what you're talking about. So carefully choose. I've told a joke in San Diego or in South Florida here for an event. The whole room lost it. Did the same joke in San Diego. I got crickets and a lot of weird faces. And it was a cheesy joke. Maybe that was the problem. You can recover from anything if you have a backup plan. Well, how do I create a backup plan, Sebastian? I'll tell you right now how the backup plan works. Prepare yourself, research, get familiar with the material you're talking about, and get confident. All of those things, a backup plan, and making sure your slides don't fire. You've got them printed out. You got somebody to keep time. You can have your slides on your laptop because they don't plug into the screen because you're having AV errors. Again, have a backup plan, but keep the audience's interest number one. Okay. Here's the number one thing that you need to remember about public speaking. Are we ready? Drum roll. It's all in your head. Let that sink in for a minute. It is all in your head. If you have been booked to speak, if you have been booked to give a talk, if you have been booked to give a presentation at your job, if you've been booked to give a presentation from an organization or a church or something that you're a part of, if you've been booked, if you have been paid to come and give a talk, people are there to hear what you have to say. That's the best part about it. Any questions? I'll have this deck available on my SlideShare account that I'll be able to, I'll be tweeting out as well. You can find me on slideshare.com. Just search for my name, Sebastian Rusk. If you have questions, you can use, you can send a tweet at @SebRusk, the hashtag SpeakingBuzz or PS Buzz, either or. And this can be an ongoing conversation. The cool part about this Google Hangout on air is that I'm able to stream this live where you're watching this right now on my YouTube channel, which I think is really cool. So if you go, all right, we're going to stop. We'll stop screen sharing there. All right. What's up? It's me live again. The bow tie. What is a little tight here? It's like, it's a little warm here. South Florida winters is about 80 outside here. So anyway, send me a tweet at SebRusk, at SEBRUSK, with any questions you have pertaining to this. Hit me up. Find me on Facebook. Send me a tweet if you have questions about this. Again, this is just a proof of concept webinar that I wanted to do. We got a great response. We had a bunch of people show up. I see a bunch of feedback that's coming through. I appreciate each and every single one of you. My email address is srusk@socialbuzztv.com. If you've got questions about this presentation, about public speaking, if you need somebody to help you work through that entire process, I am available and here to be able to do that. Well, with that being said, I'm going to let everybody get back to their day. I thank you so much for your attentiveness and for being here. I'm Sebastian Rusk with Social Buzz TV. And remember, there is absolutely nothing to worry about pertaining to public speaking. If you've gotten booked to speak, there is a reason for it, and people are there to hear what you have to say. Have yourself an absolutely incredibly blessed afternoon, and I'll talk with you real soon. Bye.